time, Jason Reed. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Kevin. Great to be with you again.
I've got written down here that there's an interloper here as well. Is that right? Is Connor Tomlinson with you?
There is. I have to apologise for inviting him
Yeah,
along.
because
I
he's
felt sorry
obsessed
for
with
him, and
Superman, isn't he? Well,
he
let me
is.
ask
Yeah.
you both. Well, let me ask you both what you feel about the advent of Superman the bisexual. DC Comics have taken it upon themselves to make the latest incarnation of Superman, the world's favourite superhero, bisexual. Why have they done that? What's the point? Can anyone explain it to me?
I should say,
Jason,
first
take
of
it
all, the
away.
reason that Connor is here is because he's very much an expert on this kind of thing, whereas I'm not. So maybe, Connor, you could give us a bit of background, first of all, about what's happened and what it means.
And,
then we can get
remember,
into the
Connor,
meat
we've
of it.
only got 10 minutes, so
Yeah, that's
don't want
totally
one of your
fine.
hour and a half lectures, all right?
I did that earlier for someone else. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I bet you did.
Yeah. to condense it down, basically, in 2011, they rebooted Superman back from issue 1, even though it was up to about issue 900, been running since 1938. And everyone hated it because the main comic, they couldn't get a secure writer because editors started annoying them. And then the second one, Action Comics, they had a socialist come and write it. He said, so Superman's a socialist superhero. Wasn't very successful. So in 2016, they wiped the slate clean, killed him off, brought back old Superman and brought in his son. So after that, 2018, the comic started going downhill because they brought in a new writer. And so they got rid of Superman and went, it was actually not because they had a successful run before. It's because the new writer wasn't writing it. He's just an old fuddy-duddy. Superman's irrelevant because how can you have a straight white male hero in the Trump era? Yeah. So they made his son now the new Superman. Until about a week ago,
this is
guy,
John Kent, son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane.
Yeah. Well, about a week ago, he was in a relationship with a new Wonder Woman called Yara Flor, who's a Brazilian Wonder Woman, because they did a diverse reboot where Batman's gay and Flash is non-binary. Totally ridiculous. So now for yesterday, National Coming Out Day in America, just like they did with Robin during Pride Month, they've decided to retcon him as being bisexual, break him up from Wonder Woman in his current relationship, and stick him with a fella.
Okay. And what do you think about that, Connor?
I'm not particularly a fan of random character changes for political reasons, especially because the new fella, funnily enough, if you look at the article that the writer Tom Taylor has put out, first of all, he said the reason we did it is because we didn't need another, quote, straight male savior. So it's for expressly political reasons. And then his new boyfriend is a pink-haired, quote, hacktivist.
Jay Nakamura. Jay Nakamura.
Yeah. Easy name to say. So his new fella is inspired by his mum, Lois Lane, which everyone thinks, we all know Lois Lane, right? Well, 2 years ago, Lois Lane got a comic called Lois Lane, Enemy of the People. And that was about Lois Lane taking on the Trump administration in person about their evil border policy. And she gets to yell at Sarah Huckabee Sanders in the press room. So if he's inspired by that, Lois Lane, this entire move is very political.
Yes. What do you think about it, Jason?
I partially agree with Connor, but can you see, Connor, how someone who is bisexual might be offended by that reaction? Because the implication is that there are, although we accept your sexuality, there are some parts of society that you're not welcome in, some spaces where you're still explicitly barred. Acceptance of LGBT plus identities is still extremely new in terms of human history, society's history. There are still people around today who had to protest with Stonewall in the 60s for their rights. And so it does feel a little bit soon, perhaps, to be saying sexuality is so irrelevant that we can't be incorporating it into a plot line like this. The part I do agree with you on is the explicitly political part, that whereas the writer is saying, we can't have straight male heroes. That's not really
why not? Why
anyone.
can't we have straight male heroes? So the writer is called Tom Taylor. He said, I've always said everyone needs heroes and everyone deserves to see themselves in their heroes. I'm very grateful to DC and Warner Brothers to share this idea. Well, the point is, that's okay if you happen to be bisexual. But if, for example, you take someone like me, I'm not bisexual. Therefore, I do not see my hero, any of myself, in this superhero. So he's serving one part of the community and excluding another, i.e. me. And I take offence to that.
Well, that's exactly the problem with saying, oh, to see yourself in a hero, they've got to be the same identity marker as you. The entire reason Superman was so popular is because he placed heroic virtues over above and who he is. Now, reminder, Superman's not even human. He's technically an alien, so is John. So it's pretty difficult for any human to see themselves in Superman by this logic. But the idea of the intersectional ideologues, like Taylor and a lot of people who are running Marvel and DC, is that you've got to be gay to see your, there's got to be a gay superhero if you're gay, there's got to be a black superhero if you're black. And that means that heroics are no longer based on what you do, but who you are. And the disturbing implication of that, of course, is, well, who becomes the villain? The villain is not what they do, but it's who they are. And so if the heroes are all of the diverse characteristics in the Oppression Olympics, you can have trans-disabled Superman next. Well, who are the villains? It's, of course, the straight white males that they would like to exclude. And that is a very dangerous line to walk down idea-wise.
Connor, is this commercially a good idea? Because Robin recently became bisexual, doesn't he? Many of us weren't that surprised about that. But so he's become bisexual. I don't know how that worked out, but will this be a commercially good move on the part of DC Comics?
It's not a commercially good move for the American comics industry at all, because since 2014, Marvel did something similar with New Marvel, where they made Iron Man a black female and Captain America as African-American, not African-American, what was it, Latino-American female, there we go. And their sales tanked. And now, if you look at the American comics market for last year, in total, Marvel and DC shipped about 15 million units sales. The manga market in Japan has outgrown that. Now, I don't read manga, so this is what's heartbreaking for me. But one single anime called something like Demon Slayer or something like that, because it was very popular, 100 million units in America. So one single anime is outselling the entire American comic market 10-1. And that's because of all the woeful wokery that's infiltrated the stories. The stories are no longer about individual characters. They're about identity markers. And that makes characters very shallow. And it means their stories can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're sort of subjugating story and character to making some sort of political point.